As a team, we're going to crumble. Inch by inch, play by play, till we're finished. We're in hell right now, gentlemen, believe me. And we can stay here, get the shit kicked out of us, or we can fight our way back into the light. We can climb out of hell. 1 inch at a time. You know, when you get old in life, things get taken from you. I mean, that's part of life. But you only learn that when you start losing stuff. You find out life's this game of inches. So is football. Because in either game, life or football, the margin for error is so small. I mean, 1/2 a step too late or too early, and you don't quite make it. 1/2 second too slow, too fast, you don't quite catch it. The inches we need are everywhere around us. Hell yeah. They're in every break of the game, every minute, every second. On this team, we fight for that inch. On this team, we tear ourselves and everyone else around us to pieces for that inch. We claw our fingernails for that inch. Because we know when we add up all those inches, that's going to make the fucking difference between winning and losing. Between living and dying. I'll tell you this, in any fight, it's the guy who's willing to die who's going to win that inch. And I know if I'm going to have any life anymore, it's because I'm still willing to fight and die for that inch. Because that's what living is. There's 6 inches in front of your face. Now I can't make you do it. You got to look at the guy next to you. Look into his eyes. Now I think you're going to see a guy who will go that inch with you. You're going to see a guy who will sacrifice himself for this team because he knows when it comes down to it, you're going to do the same for him. That's a team, gentlemen. And either we heal now as a team, or we will die as individuals.
Ideas are bulletproof.
Welcome to the show. It is September 16th, 2011. This is Down the Rabbit Hole. I'm your host, Popeye from FederalJack.com. And today I'm joined by my good friend, Michael Vail. Mike, how's
it going, man? Thank you so very much for having me on, and on a good Friday, man, as I'm enjoying my little vacation from Oracle Broadcasting. It's good to kick back every once in a while, do a few shows with you, as always.
Mike's on hiatus, for those who don't know.
Yeah. A little hiatus. A little hot minute.
While you've been off, you built a new website, did you not?
Yeah, I did, and it's requiring way too much work than I had originally imagined, but it's cool. It's called stratrisks.com, STRATRISKS, strategic risks, stratrisks.com. And I got a new article put up there recently I wrote last night called Chain Reaction Revolution, how government blunders may trigger mass unrest. And it kind of breaks it down, variables, unknown variables, et cetera, et cetera.
You want to talk about it a little bit? Maybe break it down for the listeners?
Sure, why not? You can check it out on stratrisk.com. You know, the thing about it is that you sit there and watch organizations like USAID and some of these like Amnesty International, these other groups, and you think, well, they're somewhat legitimate and all this kind of stuff, but they really aren't, and they go a long way to provide cover for intelligence agencies to destabilize governments. Now, also, governments are.
Wait, you mean the CIA would destabilize a government, Mike?
Well, whether it's the CIA,
I'm surprised.
Whether it's private intel organizations like the Soros people out there.
Don't forget Blackwater. Don't forget Z and the rest of them. Those guys aren't just mercenaries. They also do intel work.
Exactly. Matter of fact, they do intel work. They did intel work for Verizon. I think it was called, their subsidiary is called Total Intelligence Solutions, I believe the name of it is. But also, ridiculous governments and ridiculous actions by governments also start the unrest as well. And, of course, number one is, unstable economies. Most people, sort of run around their lives and they really don't pay too much attention to what's going on until things happen that they happen to notice, like maybe their 401k gets blown out or the pension plan gets blown out or something happens. And no one gives them a good reason why it happened. It just happened, and, they give you a nice little pep rally, a little pat on the head, and say, go out there and work harder for less. And, and then, of course, that leads to the second variable, confidence or trust. As I say in the article, who will trust the conductor who let his train get off the rails? And, it's like when, how they do all those confidence polls, well, Obama's confidence numbers are blah, 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 blah. They do all of that often, whether it's focus groups, polling, all of that, to know whether or not they have the whether or not the people who trust them, have confidence in them, or like what they're doing. And when things go awry, all hell can break loose, because if you don't have confidence in government and the government's actions are deemed, illegitimate, the things go to hell in a handbasket quite quickly.
And, Bloomberg actually, he was he does a weekly Friday address, Mayor Mike Bloomberg up in New York. Oh, and, yeah. He was talking about today somebody asked him about that, and he was talking about the economy, and they had asked him about the poverty level and everything else, and he said that people are angry and he's afraid there's going to be riots like there's been in Europe. And then he's quoted as saying, the only way to solve this problem is that everybody pays a little more and gets a little less. Screw you, Mike.
Oh, I heard.
Not you, Vail. I'm talking to Bloomberg.
Yeah, that other Mike. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, the asshole Mike. Oop, did I say that on air? Yeah, I did. Oh, well, too bad. Anyway, go on.
I mean, it's true, though. It has a lot to do with confidence, and trust. I don't think you should trust any government per se, but a lot of people do trust their governments, and their governments become illegitimate. I heard someone say today that this economist say that, yes, Social Security is a Ponzi scheme by definition, and that what they're going to have to do is make it so, only way you're going to be able to retire is to be like maybe 70, 75 years old, because it can't pay for itself anymore. And so you think about that, that's going to piss a lot of people off. And so you have Zbigniew Brzezinski's and others out there who will talk about, the summer of rage and how there'll be riots and unrest. These guys do all sort of, computer simulation wargaming.
And they're doing everything they can to push it in that direction.
Oh, no doubt about it. That's the idea, okay? It's like whether you're on the Machiavellian side of being, a thug ruler, or you're on the, Gene Sharp, Solinsky side of pushing these things in different directions and to get benefits out of them. And they do start these unrests, just like what you saw in Egypt. You saw all this going on in Egypt, and for what reason? What do they have today? Same thing you had yesterday and the day before that. They're still suffering. Their people are still going to these little gulags and put in these military trials. So nothing changes except, basically playing the game, musical chairs, and someone hops in a new seat, but nothing changes. And I'm sure that
even with Obama, people, dude, I played that clip the other day. In fact, I played it on 9/11 on Sunday on Jimmy X's show. We were on Radio X, and he asked me what was the last thing I wanted to say, and I was like, hold on, I brought my friend Peggy Joseph on, and I played the clip, and the woman was like, Obama's gonna pay my rent, she's gonna pay my mortgage, she's gonna pay my car payment, I won't have to work anymore. I'd love to go interview her right now.
I know, right?
So, Peggy, how's that change working out for you? How's that hope and change working out?
Maybe she got laid off.
Did you get your check? What? No? You didn't? You got fired? You're homeless? And CPS took your children? Oh, well, I guess hope and change didn't work out for you, huh?
No. And even diehard liberal types out there, they're getting to the point now where that hope and change, really, there wasn't much change, and I guess we didn't have enough hope, because, they're getting to the point now where they say 1/4 of the Democrats want someone else to run in 2012 alongside Obama as competition. So, it'll be interesting to see what happens, but, that instability, happens a lot of times. Same thing happened in Afghanistan, with the Russians and then the CIA coming in and training the Mujahideen in the same way that the CIA trained Al-Qaeda from northern Pakistan to fight in Libya. Interesting dichotomy there. They're terrorists until we need them.
Well, they're freedom fighters, and then they're terrorists, and then they're freedom fighters again. So I guess they've come full circle, right? Because Al-Qaeda started off against the Russians as freedom fighters, then they attacked us on 9/11, and now they're our buddies in Libya again. So does that mean we're going to get attacked by them again? Because, if it keeps going on this back and forth type thing, maybe we should ponder that during the break. We'll be right back. Vail, we are back. It is Friday, the 16th of September, 2011. And there's just craziness going on. During the break, Mike and I were discussing all the weird news. And Kristen over at uncoverthenews.com sent me a sad story, I guess you could say. Recently, today, there was a plane crash at one of them plane shows where they do the races, or they put the poles up and the planes, they usually get like old World War II fighter planes, and because that's what they used to race planes like that back in the day. So now, they still do it for air shows and stuff. Well, apparently one of the guys, maybe he was in a Mustang, whatever it was, he crash landed into the stands.
Ooh. Yeah,
apparently took out like the whole front row of the stands. So there's a whole slew of people that are dead in some air show in Reno, Nevada. So.
Oh man, that's rough, man. Like you just go for some entertainment, and geez. Or like that. What was that one where the whole like stage collapsed?
The music event a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And people ask me why I don't go out to things like that. See what happens when you go? Now, honestly, the chances of that happening are like slim to none. But
no, it's like you go watch some alligator wrestler, dude, and
I've seen the videos where he gets his hand taken off.
Yeah, or like the guy who's like visiting some like outdoor zoo in Africa somewhere, and throwing food at the animals, and they run off with his arm.
He gets mauled by it,
And they run off with his arm, and his like family's like freaking out. Yeah, I don't go to stuff like that now. No.
That's how I would describe us if there were like interplanetary beings or interdimensional beings from other places, and people say, why haven't they come to Earth and talked to us yet, civilized? Because they probably watch us on TV and they're horrified. It's like watching animals inside of a zoo. Would you go try to get into the monkey cage with the monkeys flinging crap at each other and try to have a civilized conversation with them? No. What I mean?
What's his name? Stephen Hawking said that we don't want to be looking for the aliens. We might find them, and it might not be too cool.
Well, I take what Hawking says with half a grain of salt, because I think he's a little, I don't want to say jaded, maybe bought off. Maybe I just don't. I mean, I know he's
bitter and bought off.
Yeah, I don't think. I think he's establishment controlled at the very least. I don't think he's part of it. I mean, he's in a wheelchair. Although, who knows? He could be, one of the most evil guys in the Hannibal Lecter series of movies was in a wheelchair. He had no face, and he was in a wheelchair and blew through a tube to get around in his little wheelchair. So who knows? Maybe Stephen Hawking is a bad guy. But
like Michio Kaku, who I used to read his books when I was really young.
I don't like him. He's a total scumbag, New World Order shill.
I mean, that guy, man.
Makes you want to puke, doesn't it? I used to like him, dude. I used to be like, wow, Michio's he's the shiznit, he knows what he's talking about. And then I started hearing him talking about how if you don't want a planetary world government, you're a terrorist. And I was like, whoa, wait, can you back that up a minute? And then people are like, he said terrorist, like as in like terrain. And I'm like, no, people, No. Don't try to with me. It doesn't work. Okay. Don't try that. He meant
semantics game.
Yeah. Don't try that crap with me because it doesn't work. I know what he meant. Okay. And look, again, I've said it before, Mike. I'm all about like the whole, world order, or I don't want to say world order. The whole idea of getting together as one human race and like exploring the planet and the in space and stars and all that. Awesome idea. Totally awesome idea. I think it's a great idea that we all get together and stop blowing each other up for stupid reasons, okay? But I don't think we can have a world government until we evolve spiritually as a species, because right now we are too devolved. We want to control each other. We want to tell each other what the hell to do all the time. I mean, I just personally don't think we're ready for that.
I can tell you exactly why the aliens haven't contacted us. They've gone to the website peopleofwalmart.com. That will ruin you on humanity. Okay, even if you are a human being, you're like, oh God, these people are horrible. I saw like 5 pages on that website, and I thought, maybe eugenics is a good idea.
No, I know what you mean sometimes, dude. I know what you mean. Eugenics is never a good thing, but there are times where you see things and it's like, wow. Of course,
a little chlorine in the gene pool, perhaps.
Well, dude, not only that's why they think the elites. That's how they look at all of us. When they look at these white trash morons and like cops and everything, this is what they think all of us are. That's how they're cattle. Look. I mean, and honestly, that's what a lot of the public has become, Mike. I mean,
look at like David Suzuki, okay, big time Club of Rome guy, talked about people are maggots.
Yeah, dude.
You can look that up on YouTube.
Yeah, Prince Philip. I want to come back as a virus and take out humanity.
or Aurelio Pace, who basically founded the Club of Rome, said something to the I've got the interview somewhere, but he said something to the point of human beings are like a cancer, ravaging the earth and all this kind of stuff. And I do.
Or Gaia speak BS.
Yeah, and I do think that we should probably stop bombing each other and probably destroying where we live. As the old saying, don't poop
I'm all about that stuff, but I'm not worshiping some earth spirit. I'm not, and it's not that I don't believe the earth has a soul or a spirit. I think everything is connected and has some sort of the earth. I understand the planet itself is a living organism. I'm all about not destroying the planet. I agree. But I am not going to live in some slave-type world because Al Gore says that I'm causing global warming. F him and his 24 hours of reality. Okay? He wants 24 hours of reality. Come hang out with me for 24 hours, scumbag. I'll show you 24 hours of reality. We'll tie Al Gore up and we'll start torturing him for 24 hours. We'll waterboard the crap out of him. We'll see how it works. They say it works, right? So let's waterboard Al Gore and see if global warming is real. That'll solve the problem, right?
Well, but those people are raging hypocrites, okay? And I do think that people should, value their own culture and other people's cultures and learn about other people.
When Ted Turner tells you that you use too much electricity and that you have too much of a huge carbon footprint, this coming from the man who is the second biggest landowner in the world. He used to be one, but some prince topped him now. But he's still the number two world, landowner in all of the world. And this guy has the balls to tell you, me, and everybody else that we have to stop plugging our cell phone chargers into the wall.
Oh, what about Queen Elizabeth, okay? She was getting government subsidies to heat her home.
Yeah. Doesn't anybody get insulted at that, the Queen? You need government subsidies, you reptilian lizard. Ugh, I can't describe her in any way.
And she was actually getting mad because they wanted to take away her subsidies, okay?
Screw her and her rich family. They own property here in the States. They own half of BP. They should just call British Petroleum. They should call it the Queen's Oil Company or something like that.
Look, these are the same people, right? They were pushing all this free market stuff so they could push heroin on the Chinese people, on the Indian people. The whole idea, the whole free market and, the wealth of nations and all that came from the British East India Company. They bought these intellectual prostitutes to say whatever they wanted them to say so they could sell their wares, okay? Then it went from opium to rum running to everything else. These people have no moral high ground. They have the stones to come at us with this bunk about global warming, and it's our fault.
Yeah, I will not take a lesson in morality from any of these losers, okay? They rape children. They sacrifice kids. And if you guys think I'm going overboard with the whole raping and sacrificing thing, go look up Boys Town. Just look up the Franklin cover-up there in the break. Check it out. Go Google or Scroogle or whatever search engine you use, ask.com, whatever. Go look up the Franklin cover-up. These people are sick bastards. They need to hang. We're going to break. We'll be right back.
The Freedom Link Radio Show with Joe Joseph. Sundays, 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern on the Orion Talk Radio Network.
Silence is the enemy. Words have power, but actions speak louder. Pretend to be free till you die a slave, a soldier in the desert searching for a ghost in the cave. For the corporation, I run out of patience. Sick of seeing troops sink to die for your lives. Spending dollars in debt, we holler in protest till we have your arrest. We will not rest, and we know what you did that day.
It killed your own citizens to advance your ways, you scumbags. You should all be hung. Traitorous pieces of crap. That little last part I added myself. Thank you very much.
Tell us how you really feel, man.
Hey, I've said on air I would when we start prosecuting these people for treason that I will volunteer my time 8 hours a day as the hangman 5 days a week. You don't have to pay me. I'll voluntarily do it for my country, my service.
Dude, I'd take Queen Elizabeth, dude, put her in a little small room, and I'll like roll a bunch of pine sol in there, let her choke out. That's what killed the Jews, man. Pine sol. It's rough, man. It doesn't play it.
Dude, let me tell you something. Pine sol in reality really is strong, nasty stuff. My mother back in the day used to clean floors with it. She was old school. Like, she was born in, the post-World War II Europe, so, like, right after the end of the war. So she, they used to get on their hands and knees and scrub with that stuff. I don't know how she didn't pass out. That stuff's nasty.
Dude, you mix it with something and you turn it to a damn bomb.
Uh-oh. Now you're going to get accused of being of Timothy McVeigh type people, Mr. Michael Vail.
Right. I've said it already. I've said it.
Department of Home, Echelon probably picked that up because you know how they monitor everything. So Echelon picked up the term bomb, and they're just going, Michael Vail, now terrorist, now on the terrorist watch list.
If it wasn't already. Well, I haven't flown in a long time, so I don't know.
Yeah,
I'll have to test it out one day.
Neither have I, to be honest with you. But I don't want to hear that, I don't want to hear that my name matches some retard on a terror watch list. I won't tolerate that. I'll be like, okay, I don't think so.
I have enough people like who owe money to certain organizations who like have a similar name to my own, and they call me up and tell me I owe money. You owe? I know you got the wrong person. So that's what you say. You owe. Like, you kiss my...
Dude, these debt collectors, these guys are pretty brutal. Have you ever heard some of these things people put up on YouTube that they get on their voicemails and their answers?
Oh, man, like the old lady they called, like, what was it, like 50 times a day? Her husband had died, and they had some financial troubles after he died.
Dude, if that was my mother or my grandmother, I'd whoop someone's ass. I would go find out where that guy is, and I would wait for him to get out of work. And I'd be like, hey, are you Bob? Yeah, man. You do the collections? Yeah. Cool, I got to talk to you for a second. And I'd hand him his teeth. I'd give him his teeth back when I was done. I'd be like, you dropped these. Because you would not talk to my mother that way, dude, or my grandmother that way.
Oh, dude, no, they'll go around in your neighborhood and tell all the people how much money you owe. You know so-and-so owes money.
Yeah, which is completely like... I mean, I don't even know if that's legal, to be honest with you.
That's dirtbaggery is what I'll say.
It's complete dirtbaggery, but I don't even know if that's legal, because I wonder if you can be sued, if it's not criminally, but like civilly in court for that, because that's like release of personal information, and they work for the company. So if they work, usually they don't work directly for the company they're trying to collect debt for, but you got to wonder if that's, if because they're kind of like working on their behalf, if the other company could get sued, you know what I mean? Like that's why you got to record this stuff, and because, I mean, I don't have to deal with debt collectors anymore. 10 years ago I did, and they weren't like this. I mean, I had them call me up and give me a hard time here or there, but I never had somebody be like, I'm going to come to your house and arrest you. I'm going to kick your ass. Things like I never got that. Maybe it's just my personality on the phone, but I don't usually hear that in phone conversations. So, I would react badly. I'm like, what would you do if I'm a bill collector? And I'm like, ring, ring, ring. Yeah, is this Mr. Vail? You owe us $350 from like 10 years ago, and if you don't pay, I'm going to come to your house with the cops, and I'm going to beat your ass, man. I mean, that's the kind of stuff they say. What would you do if I said that to you?
I'd kick you to sleep. Exactly what I would do.
Right? Like, are you kidding me? But they don't do that. They do that to, like, women and old people they go after. They really target the elderly. And, I mean, I've heard even on regular people's answering machines, but rarely do you hear them call up a dude and be like, I'm going to come to your house and, get you or arrest you or anything like that. Maybe they might say it once in a while. Most of the time, I find that, from what I've seen, that happens a lot to females, and it's like they're trying to intimidate them. They're trying to scare them.
Oh, I had a friend of mine who owed money, and he put my name down as a reference, and they're calling me up, right? I'm like, you need to go talk to him. I don't owe you any money, Well, what you could do, you could pay it for him. Like, you kiss my ass, pay it for him, right? And I'm like, don't call here again. Just don't waste your time calling.
Well, a lot of times when people die, you can get away with, if it's not a ton of money, a lot of times they'll write things off if you show them a death certificate. Sometimes they'll still ask you to pay, but like when my mom died, there were companies that they ended her, the contract and everything. They took care of it. Her cell phone, this is why I got rid of Verizon. I was telling my mother-in-law and my wife this story earlier today because my mother-in-law is down visiting us for a couple of days. So we were out having lunch earlier. And I was telling them, I was recanting the story. Verizon, the reason I got rid of them, I used to love their service. Okay, but I had to get rid of them. And this is 2003 when my mother died. I had to get rid of them because 3 months after she was dead, they said they kept sending me bills for her cell phone. And I kept telling them, dude, I shut the phone off with you guys 3 months ago. I sent you the death certificate. They tried telling me, the guy, this is the only time I ever had a snotty bill collector. And I said, look, I know there's no way my mother made those phone calls on the phone. And I knew by saying that I was setting the guy up because in my head I'm like, oh, I know how he's going to react. I know exactly what he's going to say. I can foresee it. And he goes, yeah, how the hell do you know that your mother didn't make those calls? She could have done it behind your back, blah, blah, blah. And I let him rant. And I said, how do I know? Because she's been dead for 3 months, jerk off. That's how I know. And you have a copy of the death certificate on file. So I don't, unless she's, using that psychic, the one, John Edwards, from Crossing Over, I don't think she's making any phone calls on her cell phone. And I had it physically in my person. It had been off for 3 months. But they were trying to tell me that there were phone calls made from it. So then they were like, well, maybe somebody spoofed the number. And I said, well, that's not my problem. You have it on record that it was cut off. But they still tried to get me to pay for it, even after I had it on file. So sometimes you'll get a company that's really cool, and they'll just, yeah, no problem, sorry about your loss, blah, 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 blah. And if it, maybe if it's like, that only happens once in a while. Usually what they'll do is they'll just close out the account and send you a bill for what's left. And then you are kind of, the estate is legally bound to pay that kind of stuff off. So you kind of have to, there are certain things you do have to pay. But, you can haggle with people. There's a lot you can do. But banks, what these scumbag banks do is they call you right up. I mean, right up. And they're right on your ass. And they're like, oh, blah, 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 blah. They tried that stuff with us when my mother died, except she was smart. She made sure she had her ducks in a row because she knew she was dying. So she set certain things up so that it wouldn't be an issue. But the banks do, they don't care. I mean, the body could still be warm in the hospital bed. And
dude, look, if the body's still warm in the hospital, they'd be trying to pull out the gold teeth fillings.
Well, usually there's an agent, there's a representative of the bank outside waiting for the gold fillings because, like, who are you? I'm just the bank. Dude, she's only been dead for 2 minutes. Well, we're just, we're here, just whenever you're ready.
Let me dig through her pockets real quick for you guys, put it in the ground. Jeez. Vampires. That's the industry's really turned into, like the repo industry and other industries. It's turning like vampires. It's like, blood sucking on people already having a hard time. They're like, thank you. And I understand, bills need to be paid and all that kind of stuff. But when it's gotten to the point where, like the majority of the population can't pay their bills, it's a major problem.
Well, hospitals, I mean, the doctors they're supposed to take care of you anyway. It's part of their Hippocratic Oath. They're supposed to give a certain amount of free time. That's what doctors used to be taught. Nowadays, they're not taught that anymore. But old school, and if you go ask any old school doctor, they'll tell you, I think it's something like upwards. They used to be taught something like 25% of their time should be, donated for free to help people out.
They just add that to the golf now. They just, I think that's really what it is. Like the sort of like moral high ground of people is like, to a large degree, is gone because they're like vampires and blood-sucking bastards, and all they care about is the bottom line.
Well, there are people like that, and it's not just people that are. It's not just these elitist douchebags. There are scumbags that, will try to get ahead, and the only way that, they know how to get ahead is to F over every other citizen in the United States, and I mean, I've said it before, it's a great term. I know people, most of these hedge fund bankers and all these guys, a lot of these people, they would crawl over their dying mother to F their sister, okay? And that's the way it is. These people, they do not care. Now, are all of them involved in the New World Order? Not directly, no. They might not even know it exists, but they're just used because of their greediness. They're used because they're easy puppets.
Yeah, very much so.
They just nailed some hedge fund banker. In fact, we'll get into that when we come back. I got to get the guy's name, but he's getting nailed for losing like $2 billion or something like that. Like, I'm sure he was the only one. All right, we're going to break. We'll be right back. Kill the banks. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Apparently that air show disaster is pretty bad. If anybody's listening in the Reno area, they're looking for people to donate blood. Apparently it's really, really bad, and there's pretty gory accident. There's body parts and stuff all over. So if anybody's listening, you're in the Reno, Nevada area, dial up the mobile number for Orion and listen on your phone, and maybe go over and give a little blood or something. Help some people out, because there's some people that are missing limbs and having a very bad Friday. So anyway, Mike, I before today's show, I have to bring this up. I was going through some stuff, and I came across remember you and I had this conversation about Pavlov's dogs?
Oh, yes.
And I always use the example of people calling 911 for stupid stuff, as they're trained now to call the police all the time. Well, man calls police because Taco Bell won't serve him at the drive-thru because he was walking through the drive-thru because he was too drunk to drive. So he calls the cops and he complains to them and says he's bitching and moaning, and he says pretty much like, well, I want you to come down and talk to the manager and make him serve me food. So they came down and they arrested the guy and brought him in jail for improper use of 911. And I'm like, this is a perfect example, and I was going through, I was getting ready for the show, and I saw this, and I usually don't pay attention to stupid little news snippets like that. I'll scan them over, but I was like, I have to click on this and see why the guy, obviously how I wanted to see how it turned out, and I wanted to see what the guy's excuse and everything was. And he said to them, what, am I supposed to get a DUI just so I can get a taco? So the guy knew, now, I understand the guy was drunk, he was being a pain in the butt, but is there really a use in arresting the guy and putting him in the system because he dialed 911, because he misdialed 911? After all, they're being trained like Pavlov's dogs to call 911 for anything. The see something, say something program. If you see something suspicious, hey, that guy won't serve me my taco, so I'm going to call see something, say something. And when you call the DHS line, as a little side caveat, when you call those 800 numbers that they tell you to call, if you don't get a recording, you get a live operator that tells you that she can't help you and she can't record anything and that you should call the local police department. So why is my tax dollars paying for you to answer the freaking phone? Why is there a phone number? Why are we wasting money printing up these signs and scaring the crap out of people and getting people to tattle on each other if you don't even answer. I mean, at least in Soviet Russia and in Nazi Germany, they had people to answer the phone lines or, take the tips in. I mean, you guys are so – the New World Order has gotten so friggin' lazy. You literally call up DHS, and it's like, yeah, you have to call your local police department.
Then why is this number even active?
Yeah, why the hell am I calling you? Why do you waste my time telling call to see something, say something number? If when I call it, you tell me to call my local police department. Thanks for a waste of my time and a waste of my tax dollars. Seriously.
I've had this conversation with family members, like, and we're sitting around and they turn on the TV set and my eyes roll over because I'm trying to get away from it. And then all of a sudden, I see things that I normally don't see because I don't watch television, okay? Like, okay, I got, like, Netflix. I watch a lot of documentaries, stuff like that. And I'm watching this stupid show, okay, stupid sitcom. And you see the people in the stands. And the applause light comes on, and they're like, oh, it's so great. Applause light goes off, and they stop clapping, okay? They're Pavlov's dogs, okay? Because that show is not that funny, all right? They're just there because they want to be on camera, and two, they're Pavlov's dog. When the applause light comes on, even if it's not funny, they're gonna clap their hands, they're gonna smile. It's so great. It is so sad the way this country has degenerated, and it is so sad that, like, we have to write little notes on products to keep people from killing themselves. Okay, like a lady not knowing McDonald's coffee is gonna be hot. She ordered hot coffee, okay? Coffee comes hot. You should know it's hot.
Yeah, but what attorney? Well, I shouldn't even say, I know there's out there. But, I mean, think about it. You know what I mean? There's these scumbag attorneys that are like, well, sue McDonald's because you burned yourself because the coffee was hot. Well, she didn't ask for iced coffee. Was this Dunkin' Donuts? She didn't say to you go in with an expectation of buying a hot beverage. You ought to know that you might burn yourself with it. You know what I'm saying?
Look, man, Shyster and Fleesom, they're busy chasing amulets, okay?
Shyster and Fleesom law practices, right?
Yeah, I see them, like, all the time. Like, have you gotten some strange
1-800-PAIN or whatever?
Yeah. Fall down to the job, you could be compensated. No. We could be compensated. We're freaking Shyster and Fleesom, okay?
Exactly.
No, but it irritates me, right? Because then, like, I'm sitting there watching this television, and I see these, like, media sluts, right? It's just, like, worthless, talentless waste of pukes of life, okay?
And when you say sluts, you mean both men and females, not just the bimbos.
Yes, I just mean media sluts. It's a word I use.
Because they're all sluts.
You know me, Popeye, okay? You know how I roll. It's just a word that I use.
Well, they all are media sluts. Look at them, dude.
And look,
Anderson Cooper.
They're famous for no reason at all, okay?
Dude, he was. Let me tell you something. This is how you know that they're blurring the lines between news and entertainment, and it's called blurring the lines of reality. It's all about, and this is part of the bigger agenda. Anderson Cooper last week. Now, my wife likes to watch, E-entertainment and stuff like that once in a while. She only watches it for a couple shows. Like, she likes that chick from Jersey, Chelsea Handler or whatever, because she was a comedian. My wife thinks she's funny. She likes to watch her show. But they always do, like, in between the show, they'll do, like, an advertisement for this wannabe little news show that they have, E-News, and it's, of course, all about Hollywood entertainment news. It's nothing important. And first of all, it's a complete waste of time. You want to talk about Pavlov's dogs, okay? The crap that they pump out through this network and through their TV shows is ridiculous. I mean, dude, they're responsible for dumbing down the American public, and the younger generations especially.
And switching the gender roles, okay?
Yes.
Like, when I sit there and watch these TV shows, right, like with my family members, I have, no choice to basically tie me down. You don't want to be antisocial, do you?
You notice it's always, all the guys are always wearing tight little, like, women's jeans.
No, worse than that, like, the women of the show are all mean and butch, okay? And the guys are just like, oh, man.
That's the housewives, dude. there's one woman in particular in that show. My wife used to love that show, and I've while working, I would hear it in the background because my office is half my living room. So when she's watching TV when I'm not in the air, she can make all the noise she wants, and I'll be working on Federal Jack or doing videos and stuff. And when she used to watch this stuff, I would hear it, and there were times I had to get up and point things out to her, and now she sees it. Now she can see it when she watches sitcoms. She's like, holy crap, because I woke her up. But there was one wife in particular on that show that was very demasculating to her husband all the time. Anytime, like, the guy would have a bass guitar and he joined a band, she had to sabotage it and destroy his guitar and everything.
Yeah.
It was that kind of stuff, and it always showed. And I said to my wife, do you see what they're teaching little girls? Because they know that young girls and teenage girls, and the 20-something generation, and even the older ones, even older women that watch it, they're getting programmed too. But the more impressionable minds are the younger females, and they're going to see that it's okay to treat a man like that and be disrespectful to your husband in front of groups of people and stuff like that, and talk to him and mouth off. And I'm not saying that women should be in the kitchen and barefoot and pregnant and everything, but you should disrespect either. Like, men shouldn't disrespect their wives, and wives shouldn't disrespect their husbands in public. You don't do that, especially not in front of other people. That shows that you have no respect for your significant other. And if you're not married, maybe you can understand that. I'm a married man, so it's different. I understand it, but you have to have respect for your partner, and that's all destruction of the family and everything. But the whole Anderson Cooper angle of it is he was on there during one of the breaks on the show she was watching the other day. They talked about Anderson Cooper, and they had video of him hanging out with that bimbo Snooki.
Oh my God!
And they were talking about how they go tanning together and they spray tan together. Now, why is Anderson Cooper hanging out with some bimbo reality TV show star from the Jersey Shore?
Look, I would give you an example of Popeye, okay? Like, some of my family members, my uncles, right? They've gotten a little bit of money, and they've gotten a little ahead of themselves, right? And, it's like they wear, like, clothing which you couldn't find me caught dead in, okay? I wouldn't be buried in. They're getting, like, manicures and pedicures. I mean, the role of females and the role of men in television are, like, reversed now. Men are stupid wusses, and men are butch, and women are butch and mean in TV shows, okay? And, like, what the hell is a man getting a manicure or a pedicure, okay? I mean, honestly, okay, if you're into that, I have to feel sorry for you, okay? Because that's not really what a man should be, like, concerned about his nails, okay? Go get you some hedge clippers, scissors, a blade, a knife, whatever you got, and cut those nails, okay? You shouldn't be, like, putting little starry faces on them and, like, coloring them. And we're gone down the crapper, man. That's all I can say.
Yeah, society is headed. We're coming up on the break. Guys, me and Mike will be back in about 6.5 minutes. We got to pay some bills, and you're going to hear a little bit of the IRN news feed. We'll be right back for hour number 2. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the second hour of Down the Rabbit Hole. It is Friday, September 16th, 2011, and I am joined by my good buddy, Michael Vail. Mike, we seem to have a caller. During the break, we got a caller, so let me bring the caller online. Caller, go ahead.
Hello?
Hello? Is that who I think it is?
It's me, Janet Napolitano.
What would you like to say, Mr. Napolitano? I take it you heard my broadcast.
Well, thankfully, thanks to if you see something, say something, I happen to be at Walmart buying kitty food. After all, there are a couple of very nice-looking young women that work at the Walmart near me. So I go there often. One of the people said, have you heard this Popeye or poop something guy? And I said, no, I hadn't. And he said, you should listen. He's constantly making fun of you and the administration. So heaven forbid, I tuned in this evening, and sure enough, there you are, you and your
Heavens
friend.
to Murgatroyd. Me and my friend Mike Vail making fun of you. What do you think about that, Miss Napolitano?
Well, I'm trying to tell you, but you've interrupted me now. I don't want to have to start over, you know.
You should really get a procedure done. To
I really don't want you to start over
wait.
because
you should really get a procedure done to get rid of that Adam's apple. Okay, I mean it's so obvious that
I don't have an Adam's apple. Now listen, what I'm calling about is, you're poking fun at these programs, but if it weren't for that cute little thing with the big ghetto onion at Walmart, I would not have known about this program, and I wouldn't know that there are people out there making fun of the policies of this administration. If you see something, say something, it's there for a reason. We need to be able to rat out terrorists. When we need help from the American public.
Well, can I give you a tip, Mr. Napolitano? Because I actually have a tip. I think maybe you being the Department of Homeland Security head, you can run with it. I think our president. I think he's a fake individual. When I say that, I don't mean I'm not a birther, although I don't believe he was born here. I do believe he was born in Kenya. I think that whole birther thing is crap. Not the birther movement. I think the title birther, that's just like truther or anything else that you CIA douchebag lackeys that work for you come up with. But I personally want to know what you're going to do about the fact that Obama has destroyed this country and George Bush before him. So what I see is puppet presidents controlled by the Federal Reserve Bank and others that are destroying this country. And I'm saying something to you, Miss Napolitano, so what are you going to do about it?
Well, I can see that you now have changed your view. See, if you see something, you say something. That's my point. That's why I was calling. You see, you're unhappy with things in the administration, so you've said something. This is good. Maybe perhaps you've changed your ways, young man.
Well, I did say something. I'm telling you now, you should go investigate it. Oh, I forgot you won't because you're a loser.
Loser? I beg your pardon. You're talking to the Department of Homeland Security Secretary.
By the way, you look like a skunk, Janet. What is that
Napolitano.
What is that stripe? What is that?
I think she's like isn't she like the former lover of Janet Reno? They both have bad haircuts.
Janet Reno of all. How, that's horrible. I could never. No. She looks too manly for me.
I see. You can't have two people with Adam's apples.
I got a question. Do you, Janet Reno, and Elena Kagan all go out and hang out after hours?
I should say not. Actually, though, if you remember back about 10 years, 15 years ago, Hillary was a real looker.
Ugh. Exactly. Hillary's a lizard.
Well, I don't appreciate your gentleman's take on things, but I suppose we still have free speech in this country for now.
Look, lady,
all right,
you called into the wrong talk show if you were trying to talk to gentlemen.
Yeah. Well, I again, if it wasn't for that little cutie at Walmart, I wouldn't even known that you two were on the air. You see, my Adam's apple's getting in the way of my voice. I beg your pardon.
Told you need a procedure for that.
Well, I don't know what procedure you're referring to. I've already had one done, and I won't talk about that on the air.
Look, talk to Man Coulter. That's who you need to talk to.
Man Coulter.
Now there's a woman with an Adam's apple larger than mine.
Hey, Janet, why don't you ask Ann if radiation is good for you? I'm sure she'll give you the information on that. And apparently there was no asbestos, according to Ann Coulter. There was no asbestos at Ground Zero either.
Well, I must say, Ann and I are drinking buddies from way back. You know that when, in public we have to pretend that we don't like each other. But, behind the scenes we're good pals, and she's actually spent the night here a few times. I mean, she's come over to see me for dinner a few times.
Is that where you discuss Homeland Security procedures? Are you the one that came up with the groping? Are you the one that figured out that you should grope, random people? And have you yourself ever been groped?
Actually, she allowed me to practice groping.
This is getting way too creepy for me.
Whatever you're referring to, young man. All right, I must go. I have to listen to archives of this A. Jones character to check out what's going on.
I'm sure you already know. I'm sure you already know who he is, lady.
I'm not sure if I know who he is, but I'm going to go do that. Anyway, you two mind your P's and Q's, or you keep painted in this, if you know what I'm saying.
Hey, I got one more question. Why is it when I dial the see something, say something number, I get told to talk to the local police? Then why do you guys even exist? What use are you?
Well, we can't handle the volume of calls we've taken. I mean, look at what we've implemented just this past weekend with football season. Now, thanks to me, we no longer frisk football fans from the waist up. We do it from the ankles up. That was my idea, you know.
Yeah, thanks for that, you evil Nazi.
Thank you. All right, well, listen, I must go. I think I have to go back to Walmart for tampons. I will talk to you gentlemen later. Be on your best behavior now.
Yeah, have a nice day, Mrs. or should I call you Miss Napolitano? I guess you can't be.
If you live in the Walmart near her, run for your lives.
Well, she's in every Walmart. You're in every Walmart, aren't you, Janet? You're on all the video screens too, huh?
Yes, and I must say they've been very good at participating in this program. Kudos to them. Hats off. And if I were British, I'd say chip, chip, and all that.
Double plus good.
I won't say it. Right. All right. Well, you two gentlemen have a
Thanks for calling in, Miss Napolitano. I appreciate you taking time from your busy day over there, destroying the country and subverting the Constitution.
No problem. And by the way, Obama sends his kudos for you having a conservative black fellow on your show. Thank you for that. All right.
Oh, my God.
Jesus. Oh, there you go. Janet Napolitano, people, calling in. Oh. Yeah. We needed a little humor and levity, so.
I bet you, like, Janet Reno, Hillary Clinton, and her, like, have, like, muff diving contests in D.C.
Well, you know what's, here's something that's a little weird. You know that whole Anthony Weiner thing?
Yeah.
I think that was done to get him out of that seat. And, you know, the way the media covered it and everything else, like, all kidding aside.
Oh, the way, like, kind of like DSK style?
Yeah, because his wife is Hillary Clinton's lover. I mean, I'm sure there's more to it than that. You know, probably they wanted the seat or whatever. But his wife is Hillary Clinton's lover, so there's got to be something more to it. You know what I'm saying?
I've heard a lot about that, her and Hillary Clinton, going back a ways.
Mm-hmm. It happens, Mike. Things like this happen. Politics is just like Beverly Hills 90210. We'll be right back. Welcome back, guys. Yes, there was a little bit of humor in the last segment. That's what happens sometimes. Sometimes you need to inject humor, especially into the dark realm that we all walk around in, and uncover things for you guys. I've seen.
Somehow I want to go to Walmart right now and check it out.
Dude. You know, I gotta say, honestly, the whole thing with the screens at Walmart's creepy. And if you go, like, I remember a couple months ago there weren't any screens. I went to the local Walmart over here the other day just to check it out and see what was up. And all the screens are up at every register. Two per line, facing each way. One facing one way, one facing the other way. And then on the other side of it, like, so literally, when you're in the aisle, you have one facing you on the right and one facing you on the left. There's no getting away from it. And, of course, you'll have Janet, you gotta report your neighbors if you see them doing something suspicious. If you see them walking around and, maybe, talking to their wife on the cell phone, that could be Al Qaeda. It might not be their wife. Call us.
Oh, they do it in schools too. I mean, like, if you tattle on your friend, you get like a $50 gift card at the Gap or something, and they'll be happy enough to to snitch on somebody.
They're giving kids little ticket books to go and write their parents like energy tickets and stuff for using too much electricity. I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
A bunch. Dare is giving out PlayStation 3s to kids that turn their parents in for smoking pot.
Oh my God, man.
Yes. So that's great. The kid gets the PlayStation 3, but then gets taken out of the home and put in the CPS custody. Yeah, because that's much better.
Yeah, you go to a foster home and rot there for a good hot minute. Yeah,
right.
Good idea, kid.
Or get molested, which happens a lot. Or they lose you. See, down here, we don't have, it's not called CPS, it's called Department of Children and Families, and they just lose children. Literally. They lost like a little 5 or 6 year old black girl back. This is like 2003. Her name was Ria Wilson. They lost her. I'll never forget that little girl's name because I was so pissed off. I was like, how do you lose a little girl? And she was a cute little black girl. She had little pigtails and braids, gone. Oh, we don't know what happened to her.
Probably sold.
Well, of course. She's either got sacrificed or she's a slave somewhere in some foreign country. But, I mean, the state was like, well, they lost her. The caseworker was drunk at the time. She got arrested for, being drunk, but, she got in trouble for that. But she didn't get in trouble for losing the kid. And this isn't like a one-time thing. This happens a lot down here. And it happens in other states, too. There's I think the number of missing children each year is like over 100,000.
Yeah.
That's an epidemic. Where are these kids going, Mike? I know where they're going. They're being used. A lot of them are being sold as slaves. Some of them are actually being used in ritual sacrifice. Yes, people. These sick bastards.
Like whether it's Israel, Thailand, places like that where like I say, these traffickers, they make a lot of money off that. Okay, so you pay a little money to some orphanage, and they'll look the other way. And like you said, it's not like it's a budget shortfall. We had a budget shortfall of $50 million. That's a lot of money, okay? But they call it a budget shortfall. When there's a living child that goes missing, it is ridiculous. But it's nothing new because it happens all the time. Like in Russia, there was this orphanage where it was on Black News for years. I think like 2007. They had them in little small cages like dogs. It's horrible.
But does that surprise you?
No, but I mean, just the very idea of that's what they consider life, and it's just degenerate.
It's very disturbing, dude. They get caught all the time trafficking kids. Belgium's big for that.
And if they're not trafficking kids, they're stealing.
Have you ever researched the satanic angle, the Satanism angle and stuff of this? Because Belgium is where, and I don't know if this is true or not, but this is apparently some of the higher ups in the whole Satanism thing are located in Belgium, and that's where a lot of these kids, these child slaves and kidnapped kids go. And look, they just found all those kids. I think it was like a year ago now. All those high-ranking people in Belgium, there was this big shake-up because a bunch of high-ranking officials got arrested because some guy got caught. Well, I don't know if they got arrested. Let me phrase that. Their child slave handler got arrested, and he named them, and they got brought up publicly. I don't know if they ever did get arrested. I know they were getting, quote-unquote, investigated, which means they were sweeping it under the rug. But he got arrested, and he was like the farmer, I guess you could say. And they went and did where this guy, his location, and he had, like you said, cages, and he had these girls all chained up underneath the house, and there was like 15 or 20 of them. They're all underage girls. And they're like, well, it's so surprising. It's so surprising. But how is that surprising? This stuff's been going. Ted Gunderson investigated this back in the 90s, and he talked about satanic ritual abuse and everything. He showed the evidence. These kids were talking about that they were getting shuttled out from underneath these schools and tunnels and stuff and taken to, Some of them were getting flown on airplanes to certain places and stuff during the day, on private jets, and they were taking part in satanic ceremonies involving, famous people like doctors, singers, lawyers, sports stars. And these kids were able to name people that, they were much too young to know, who all these people were and know intimate details about these people. And yet they had these intimate details about these people. They knew all this stuff.
An article I posted on Blacklist News probably about 2 weeks ago. There was this sex club place in Europe where they were just trotting kids out through this little club where the elite would go in and they would go to certain little rooms. They would have kids waiting for them, and they got busted. But they were trying to downplay the idea that they were kidnapping children, and more the fact that they had all kind of other illegal activities going on. But it was deplorable.
It's so deep. The Franklin cover-up, I'm telling people, get a pad and a pen when I talk about stuff. I went and purchased a book. It's hard to find. When I looked for it, there was only 15 copies of it on Amazon that were available, and I scoffed one of them up.
I think Chris Milligan from Trine Day published that book, because I know he sent me a copy of it.
Good. And I hope they are republishing it, because that book needs to get out. People need to read that book. Go, if you don't have the book, go on YouTube or Google Video and just look up The Franklin Cover-Up. And I promise you, if you have children, it's going to piss you off.
Yeah.
It's going to really make you angry. I don't have kids, but it makes me angry. So if you have children, you're going to find out what these kids went through. It's going to make you angry. It's disgusting.
And they talk about like in a lot of the stuff, it's just a historical footprint. Like, that happened.
Oh yeah, well, hey, those crazy Republicans back in the 80s. And it's not just Republicans, but yes, it was more of the scumbags that seem to have taken over the Republican end of this two-party lie.
You mean the ones that have gay conversion ceremonies that they convert?
Yeah, these guys. This is what kills me. These guys walk around, and I'm not beating the bush saying that for gay rights or anything like that. That's not what I'm doing, and not that it's they don't deserve to have the same rights as anybody else. But I'm not ragging on them for that. But if you're going to sit and say that homosexuals shouldn't be allowed to get married and that they're evil and everything else, and then turn around behind the scenes and go do everything that you just all the stuff that you were condemning, you're now taking part in, that's being a hypocrite, and I have a problem with that.
That's Ted Haggard.
Yeah, dude, I have a big problem with that. Like, you don't speak out of both sides of your mouth. If you're going to open your mouth, you're going to take a stance and stand with it. Don't be a scumbag. But I guess in order to be a politician, you have to be a scumbag. So it's a prerequisite. They ask you, have you ever lied? And you're like, yes. They're like, okay, good. You'll be a politician. We're going to break. We'll be right back. I have some major news I'd like to announce really fast. From the maker of Kymatica and Esoteric Agenda is a new movie that will be coming out. And I believe the title, if I remember correctly, is called Ungrip. And I spoke to Ben Stewart, and I will be uploading his movie full length to make it available online for people. It comes out in October, so Ben's going to send me the file, and I'm going to upload it to YouTube on the day he tells he tells me whatever day he's going to give me a date when I can upload it, and I'm going to upload it for him. And then the full-length movie will be available online for people, and then I'm going to put links and everything in there where you can get the DVD, and I suggest you get a DVD copy of it and check it out, and then if you like it, spread it. But yes, and Ben will also be coming on my show, by the way. He's just in the middle of a tour, so when he's done touring, he's going to come on and we're going to do an interview. If I can't get him on live for the show, what I might probably do is because he's the kind of, getting Ben on is kind of like the type of guest like getting on Judith Vary Baker. So I'm going to talk to Jimmy X and see if we can maybe do the same thing where we had like a special, almost commercial-free 2 hours, and I'll pre-record my interview with him. That way I can get as much info into it as I possibly can. Otherwise, if I can, I'll get him on live that day, but sometimes, time constraints, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I will be getting Ben Stewart on, so, awesome. Anyway, I'll let you guys know when the movie comes out, and I'll put the link and everything in the chat room, and I'll tell everybody when I've uploaded so they can go check it out. Now, Vail, before we were screwing around in the first break, the first hour, the last break, we were talking about how men are being demasculated, or emasculated, I should say, and it's all throughout mainstream media, TVs, movies now. Like during the top of the hour break, we were joking around and we were laughing about how you just throwing examples out, but it's serious. The Twilight kids. The main men in this movie are very feminine. I don't care if one of them is buff and he turns into a werewolf. The guy has not a shed of hair on his whole body. The only time he has hair on him is when he's a werewolf. He's all metrosexual, and the other one is some little, faggy type British guy. And I'm not making fun of. If you're homosexual, that's awesome. That's your personal thing. You know what I mean? But what they're doing is they're pushing that out into mainstream media, so that guys now are all effeminate. Like, look at, dude, what's his name? That little moron, Justin Bieber. All these teenage kids like him. Like him and everything. He came out the other day. I saw this when I was cruising through the news. This kid admitted he wears women's jeans. And he says, "Oh, it's comfortable." So you realize this is going to make a whole fad of effeminate boys that are still boys and like girls, but they're going to go out and start wearing, ass-tight women's jeans. That's wrong. Why are we blurring the lines? Well, let me rephrase that. We aren't doing anything. I'm not French. They are blurring the lines. Okay? Why are they blurring the lines? Because
you know what? Go right
ahead.
It's
a bigger agenda. Well, it's a bigger agenda, right, Mike?
Absolutely. I have a document by the General Education Board, which of course was came from the Rockefeller Fund, where they talked about how they could lower the population. And I should probably dredge that up sometime. But they talked about how they could put – you can look it up. Just look up Rockefeller General Education Board memo. And they talk about how they could put fertility agents in the water. They said they changed the size of family. They said the increased, urging of homosexuality to decline the population. And like I said, you think about it, okay, where the women now are manly, brutish, and mean. The men in a lot of these TV shows now are just like worthless punks. They're not got a brain in their heads, and then run around by their women. I see people in my own friends or whatnot, run around by their women, and women telling them what they can do, what they can't do. And I understand how a relationship works, but like you say, it works both ways. And so while she's checking him, she can go to and fro however she likes because he's lost a backbone to talk to her. And what sort of woman wants a man that has no backbone, that doesn't know who he is? And so this whole concept of like metrosexual, I think I started hearing it in the early 90s about this whole metrosexuality thing, about how it's not gay, it's not straight, but it's somewhere in the middle. You know what? If you're gay, that's cool. I don't care. I don't get nothing.
Well, either you're gay or you're not gay. There is no in between. Okay.
There is no in between. Okay. And what they try to say is that the in between is that they have, let's say, maybe more estrogen, or maybe they rearrange their closets by color. I don't know what it is, but, I know you can remember this, Popeye, like whether our dads or our granddads and how they dressed and how they handle business. is a hell of a lot different than you see men today. Men today are quiet. They're quiet,
timid, little mousy little girls.
Yeah, exactly.
They're little effeminate, little mousy men. They're not men. I'll
give you an example. I was over my best friend's house, and his girl, his wife, said, she said, "Oh, you want anything to eat?" And I said, "No, I ate earlier." And she's like, "Come on, get something to eat." I'm like, "No, I'm cool. I just ate like 5 minutes ago, right?" And she's like literally pushing it on me, like, eat. And I'm like, "I'm good, okay?" And she's like, "Oh." Then she goes, "Why don't you sit over there because it's more comfortable over there?" And I'm like, "No, I'm fine where I am." "Oh, go ahead, sit over there. And basically, she was so used to pushing her own husband around, she tried to basically push me around. And when she got pushed back, it was like something brand new, something like, ooh. Literally, like, men are getting pushed around like punks these days. It's so sad, man.
And that's because of the mass media conditioning, dude. It goes back to Pavlov's, Pavlov type conditioning. It's exactly what it's reminiscent of. And you see, it's because, you always see, like, again, that show Desperate Housewives is a perfect example. The husbands on that show are all browbeat by their women. That's not how first of all, that's not how it's supposed to be. And I'm not saying men should be beating down their women. We're 50-50. Equal team. That's how it should be.
Exactly.
You should respect each other. The man shouldn't be disrespecting the woman, and the woman shouldn't be disrespecting the man. You don't do that. If you're married, you shouldn't be doing that. That's the kind of games you play when you're dating some dumb bimbo or some brain-dead moron,
A guy said in the chat room, like, Justin Bieber was selling men's nail polish, okay? And so I did a quick Google check, and it says, Justin Bieber's nail polish line sells like 1 million bottles. You know what? You will never catch me on any day of the week with nail polish on, okay? Like my dad and my granddad thought if you got your ears pierced, you're a punk, okay? I had my ears pierced back in the day, but I let them grow out, whatever have you. But it's nail.
Dude, when I was a kid, if you had long hair, you got your balls busted. Okay,
I remember that.
And this is like the 80s, the 80s metal bands and stuff into the 90s, and you'd have, when I was a teenager growing up. My uncle used to bust my balls because I had my ear pierced I had a hoop in it, and then I got my other ear pierced so I had both my ears pierced with just a gold hoop in each ear. I looked like a friggin' pirate, right? My uncle used to bust my balls, tell me all the time, "Oh, blah blah blah." I don't have my ears. Well, my ears aren't pierced anymore; they're gauged. I don't know if I have plugs in my ears. They're not huge; they're only 00s, but. Well, they're kind of big. I could put like a pencil through my ear, but I don't have hoops or anything in there, But to me, I've had them pierced since I was a kid. So even that's a perfect example. My generation, we started getting our ears pierced. It was, "What are you, fags?" Blah blah blah. But we got our balls busted. I can just picture if my uncle and his generation saw these kids now.
Oh my God! With
nail polish,
nail polish, and their pants hanging down off of their asses, and they're, running around like
showing their underwear like, "This is my boxes, motherfucker. What's up? What's up, Mike? What's up? You like my pants? You know what I'm saying?"
My uncle would kick me to sleep if I got anywhere near like that.
Dude, my uncle would have whooped my ass up and down the street, and my father would have joined in with him with a bat. I'll be right back.
My entire family murdered and tortured, raped and pillaged. I was only 5 and I was the only surviving witness. My entire village burned to the ground. He wore a serpent in his crown. Happily committed murder with a frown. And an army of black hooded fiery skull generals and a sorcerer with a casket.
That sound means it's the beginning of the final segment. But don't worry, we'll be back on Sunday. And I have a special guest on Sunday, Susan Lindauer. That's right. Former CIA asset, whistleblower. She's been on my show many, many times. She's coming back on Sunday. I haven't had her on since the Battle of Tripoli. Literally, when she was on, the Battle of Tripoli was going on, and we were trying to analyze everything as it was happening. And the rebels and everything didn't enter Tripoli till the next day, so I haven't had a chance to speak to Susan about what's been going on in Libya. And, 9/11 has passed. I haven't had a chance to talk to her about that and her feelings about that. So she's going to come on tomorrow, and she's going to be joining us for not tomorrow, listen to me, on Sunday. So she's going to be joining us for 2 full hours. So do tune in, 5 to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Susan Lindauer is going to be hanging out. Anyway, Mike, we're discussing how men are not being men anymore, and men are being turned into women. And I was telling you earlier, the other way that they're doing is, not only do you see, through getting these people to do it, but it's also young kids, they're exposing them to this. And kids that can't, children, people think that children don't suck up everything around them. They do. And when they watch things on TV, if you notice, everything on TV is always visual. And as I was telling you earlier, there's this one show, and I don't remember what it's called. It's about hairdressing, I think. The promo for it, when my wife has the channel on, I've seen the promo a couple times, and it's this black guy, and he's a pretty built black dude, But you could say he's overtly, as we would have said in the 80s and the 90s, he's flamingly gay. Okay, I don't know if they still say that or whatever, but he's just, a flaming, flagrant, you could tell he's a gay guy. And he's wearing a skin-tight, silk button-up shirt, and it buttons down to, his midsection. And he's wearing tight, ass-hugging jeans that are rolled up to his calves and red high heels. And he's got and makeup and stuff on. Now,
oh, God. Go ahead.
You see my point? That's a visual that even kids are going to see that, and that sticks in their head. They're pumping that out over and over and over again because they don't want men to be tribal and stand up and protect what's right, protect their family and protect each other and protect their community. They want men to be they want men to be pussified, right?
It works better for their agendas, okay? If you don't have anyone to be able to stand up and be territorial and defend, what's yours, then, they'll be walked all over with. I'll give you an example, okay? And you talked about children and talked about, be able to soak up all this stuff. What it is that the brain has something called a critical factor, all right? If I tell you, Popeye, that right now, whatever time it is, the sun is shining, you know that it's not. You've got data in your head that says it's not. Also, you got a critical factor that blocks certain data from getting in that you know is bogus and does not go to your subconscious. Kids from the age of 1 to around 5 don't have that. And so you can really crush kids, souls to tell them horrible things, or they can see horrible things because they can't control it. It goes directly into their brains. And so if you think about that and you think about what's being put on TV, the kind of horrible material you see on TV, kids don't know how to deal with that. And they consume those images. Zbigniew Brzezinski talked about how eventually there'll be no need for language because the television, we consume so many images, and that the imagery is more detailed and more informative than words. And so it does happen. And they prefer weak, limp individuals that they can run roughshod over.
Dude, case in point, I used to drive a tow truck for many years. And I my specialty was accident recovery, but I did the standard AAA tows and stuff like that. And I can tell you, on days that I would be doing service calls and stuff, there were days I just didn't feel like, maybe I was sick or whatever, and I still had to work. So you get put in the service truck, and all you got to do is flat tires and lockouts and stuff. And I used to enjoy that. Flat tires changing tires is actually good exercise. If you're busting them off by hand and not doing it with some air tools or whatever, if you're actually just using a tire iron and a jack. But I would go out to calls, and, dude, I'd go out to change some guy's tire, and I'd be like, to me it bothered me when grown men couldn't change their own tire. So I would school them. I'd be like, well, come on, I'll show you how to do it. And they'd be like, oh, no, it's cool. And I'd be like, no, you really need to learn this because you should be able to change your own tire. And I wouldn't, chastise them, but I kind of was,
Yeah.
Because it's stupid. It's like when guys, one night a guy ran out of gas in his girlfriend's driveway in his car, and I made fun of him in his driveway, and I had his girlfriend laughing at him in his driveway. And I was like, you're a loser. That, to me, because that's a stupid thing to do. You should know how to change your own tire. I know females that know how to change their own tires. Okay? I do. When I worked for AAA, more women, this is where I was going with this, more women would be trying to change their own tires than men. Literally. I'd see women in high heels tearing up their pantyhose and their skirts, on their knees, trying to break the thing loose or trying to put the jack underneath there, And you roll up to a call with a guy, and he's sitting in his car. Yeah, and it's always the same excuse. Yeah, I couldn't find the jack. And I'm like, did you look by the spare tire? Yeah, it's not there. I'd open the trunk. I'd lift the thing. I'd lift the little flap where the tire is, and there's the jack and the spare tire. And I'm like, yeah, right. You can't find the jack. And that's when I would, if they lied to me, that's when I would chastise them and make them get out and stand there and watch me change the tire. I didn't care if it was raining. First of all, you can't be in the car when someone's changing a tire anyway. That's dangerous. But that should be like one of the first things you learn how to do. That used to be taught in school. Auto shop. That's not taught in school anymore. That was removed from the educational system.
Look, I'd tell you something that's, like I say, just like that, horrible, is that, and you can look this up, in some schools in Europe, there are no gender. You're just it, okay? I was posting this information on Black News for years now, where we're literally, there's no winners, there are no losers, everyone wins, there are no males, there are no females, there are just people, and these teachers are completely warping the minds of these kids. And when you've got women out there, like you say, ripping up pantyhose, trying to change a tire, that's because their men need help, okay? That's because their men make no effort to learn how to do anything. My granddad could fix anything with a damn screwdriver, okay? Anything. And so if your water heater breaks or something breaks, you're a man and you go, oh, crap, I gotta go call this dude, and that's this dude, to fix this thing for me because I don't know how to do it. It sucks, okay? It sucks. Your man's soul is crying out because you can't fix anything. You don't know how to do anything. We live in a throwaway society. If it breaks, we throw it away, okay?
See, nobody fixes stuff anymore. Not me. Me personally, I fix my stuff. Like first of all, I don't wear regular jeans. I usually wear BDU pants because of, with different, some are camoed, some are, just plain black or whatever. But I wear them because they have bazillion pockets on them. But like some of my older BDU pants, they get worn out, like in the one front pocket. It seems to wear out on the same front pocket. Well, no biggie. You just take it to, I know this little Spanish lady. She's a seamstress. I take my stuff to her, and she fixes it. She puts a little patch up underneath there inside. You can't see it. Sews it up. It's good to go. Which is the way my mom used to do my clothes when I was a kid. I had clothes with patches and stuff on them when I was a kid. My mom did it really well, so you really couldn't tell. But my mom fixed our clothes when I was a kid. She didn't go out and buy us new clothes. My mom used to make her own outfits, dude. She used to go to the fabric store in town and make her own clothes because she had to do that when she was a kid.
That's like I remember like my grandmother and her daughters and stuff. You would go run through the house or whatever have you, and you see people just like I say making their own clothes, just going hard at it, and they'd make some great stuff. Okay. We've gone way awry in this world where women have to be men because the men aren't doing what they need to do, and to the point now where I think like there was a study done in Japan where they talked about how like 30% of men in Japan are no longer even interested in sex. Okay, 30%, not even interested. Okay, what's in the water?
And a lot of those little Japanese guys look androgynous anyway. You really can't tell sometimes if they're, men or just some flat-chested Japanese female. And that's because there's fluoride and all that crap in the water.
Yeah, it's crazy. It may come a time when everything is just it. You won't know. Okay, there was, matter of fact, there was a study done in Florida on chemicals in the water that were turning fish, fish into I don't even know what they were turning those fish into. It wasn't it was just complete gender bending. The gender debating to the point you don't even know what it is anymore, okay? So you think about it and, you know, I mean, all these people out here, like, popping, like, Diet Cokes like it's no big deal. God knows within these different chemicals and everything.
Aspartame.
And then, like, whether it's plastics and things leaching through the plastic. I mean, my God. And then, like, you got, like women, kids who are, like, 11 years old looking like they're 20 years old because they're drinking milk.
Well, that's why people have to research about what they put into their bodies. Mike, we are out of time for today. Thanks for hanging out, buddy. Give out your website really quick.
Stratrisk.com, S-T-R-A, Stratrisk, spell it yourself.
Stratrisk.com, guys. Don't forget to check out my website, federaljack.com, and I will see everybody on Sunday, 5 p.m. Actually, I'll be on the radio with JJ at 3 co-hosting, so tune in. Later, guys. And, you know, he was talking about the economy, and they had asked him about the poverty level and everything else, and he said that people are angry, and he's afraid there's going to be riots, like there's been in Europe. And then he's quoted as saying, the only way to solve this problem is that everybody pays a little more and gets a little less. Screw you, Mike.
Oh, I heard.
Not you, Vail. You know, I'm talking to Bloomberg.
Yeah, that other Mike. Yeah,
yeah, the asshole Mike. Oop, did I say that on air? Yeah, I did. Oh, well, too bad. Anyway, go on.
I mean, it's true, though. It has a lot to do with confidence, you know, and trust. I don't think you should trust any government per se, but a lot of people do trust their governments, and their governments become illegitimate. I heard someone say today that this economist say that, yes, Social Security is a Ponzi scheme by definition, and that what they're going to have to do is make it so, you know, only way you're going to be able to retire is to be like maybe 70, 75 years old because it can't pay for itself anymore. And so you think about that, that's going to piss a lot of people off. And so you have Zbigniew Brzezinski and others out there who will talk about, you know, the summer of rage and how there'll be riots and unrest. These guys do all sort of, you know, computer simulation and wargaming.
And they're doing everything they can to push it in that direction.
Oh, no doubt about it. That's the idea, okay? You know, it's like whether you're on the Machiavellian side of being, you know, a thug ruler, or you're on the, you know, Gene Sharp, Solinsky side of pushing these things in different directions and to get benefits out of them. And they do start these unrests, just like what you saw in Egypt. You saw all this going on in Egypt, and for what reason? What do they have today? Same thing they had yesterday and the day before that. They're still suffering. Their people are still going to these little gulags and putting these military trials. So nothing changes except, you know, basically playing the game, you know, musical chairs, and someone hops in a new seat, but nothing changes. And I'm sure that
even with Obama, you know, people, dude, I played that clip the other day. In fact, I played it on 9/11 on Sunday on Jimmy X's show. We were on Radio X, and he asked me, like, what was the last thing I wanted to say? And I was like, hold on, I brought my friend Peggy Joseph on, and I played the clip where the woman was like, Obama's going to pay my rent. She's going to pay my mortgage. She's going to pay my car payment. I won't have to work anymore. I'd love to go interview her right now.
I know, right?
So, Peggy, how's that change working out for you? How's that hope and change working out?
Maybe she got laid off.
Did you get your check? What? No? You didn't? You got fired? You're homeless? And CPS took your children? Oh, well, I guess hope and change didn't work out for you, huh?
No. You know, and even, like, diehard liberal types out there, like, you know, they're getting to the point now where that hope and change is, like, really, there wasn't much change, and I guess we didn't have enough hope because, you know, they're getting to the point now where they say 1/4 of the Democrats want someone else to run in 2012 alongside Obama as competition. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, but, you know, that...
No. You know what I mean?
What's his name? Stephen Hawking said that we don't want to be looking for the aliens. We might find them, and they might not be too cool.
Well, I take what Hawking says with half a grain of salt because I think he's a little, I don't want to say jaded, maybe bought off. Maybe. I just don't. I mean, I know he's
bitter and butt off.
Yeah, I don't think. I think he's establishment controlled at the very least. I don't think he's part of it. I mean, he's in a wheelchair. Although, who knows? He could be, one of the most evil guys in the Hannibal Lecter series of movies was in a wheelchair. He had no face, and he was in a wheelchair and blew through a tube to get around in his little wheelchair. So who knows? Maybe Stephen Hawking is a bad guy. But
well, like Michio Kaku, who I used to read his books when I was really young.
I don't like him. He's a total scumbag, New World Order shill.
I mean, that guy, man.
Makes you want to puke, doesn't it? I used to like him, dude. I used to be like, wow, Michio's he's the shiznit, he knows what he's talking about. And then I started hearing him talking about how if you don't want a planetary world government, you're a terrorist. And I was like, whoa, wait, can you back that up a minute? And then people are like, he said terrorist, like as in like terrain. And I'm like, no, people, no. Don't try to with me. It doesn't work. Okay, don't try that. He meant
semantics game.
Yeah, don't try that crap with me because it doesn't work. I know what he meant. Okay, and look again. I've said it before, Mike. I'm all about like the whole, world order, or I don't want to say world order. The whole idea of getting together as one human race and like exploring the planet and the in space and stars and all that. Awesome idea. Totally awesome idea. I think it's a great idea that we all get together and stop blowing each other up for stupid reasons, okay? But I don't think we can have a world government until we evolve spiritually as a species, because right now we are too devolved. We want to control each other. We want to tell each other what the hell to do all the time. I mean, I just personally don't think we're ready for that.
I can tell you exactly why the aliens haven't contacted us. They've gone to the website peopleofwalmart.com. That will ruin you on humanity. Okay, even if you are a human being, you're like, oh God, these people are horrible. I saw like 5 pages on that website, and I thought, maybe eugenics is a good idea.
No, I know what you mean sometimes, dude. I know what you mean. Eugenics is never a good thing, but there are times where you see things and it's like, wow. Of course,
a little chlorine in the gene pool, perhaps.
Well, dude, not only that's why they think the elites. That's how they look at all of us. When they look at these white trash morons and like cops and everything, this is what they think all of us are. That's how they they're cattle. Look, I mean and honestly, that's what a lot of the public has become, Mike. I mean.
Well, look at like David Suzuki, okay, big-time Club of Rome guy, talked about people are maggots.
Yeah, dude.
You can look that up on YouTube.
Yeah, Prince Philip.
Few shows with you, as always.
Mike's on hiatus for those who don't know.
Yeah. A little hiatus. A little hot minute.
Why you been off? You built a new website, did you not?
Yeah, I did, and it's requiring way too much work than I had originally imagined, but it's cool. It's called stratrisks.com, STRATRASKS, strategic risks, stratrisk.com. And I got a new article put up there recently I wrote last night called Chain Reaction Revolution, how government blunders may trigger mass unrest. And it kind of breaks it down, variables, unknown variables, et cetera, et cetera.
You want to talk about it a little bit? Maybe break it down for the listeners?
Sure, why not? You can check it out on stratrisks.com. The thing about it is that you sit there and watch organizations like USAID and some of these like Amnesty International, these other groups, and you think, well, they're somewhat legitimate and all this kind of stuff, but they really aren't. And they go a long way to provide cover for intelligence agencies to destabilize governments. Now, also, governments are
Wait, you mean the CIA would destabilize a government, Mike?
Well, whether it's the CIA...
I'm surprised.
Whether it's private intel organizations like the Soros people out there.
Don't forget Blackwater. Don't forget Z and the rest of them. Those guys aren't just mercenaries. They also do intel work.
Exactly. Matter of fact, they do intel work. They did intel work for Verizon. It was called, their subsidiary is called Total Intelligence Solutions, I believe the name of it is. But also, ridiculous governments and ridiculous actions by governments also start the unrest as well. And, of course, number one is, unstable economies. Most people, sort of run around their lives and they really don't pay too much attention to what's going on until things happen that they happen to notice, like maybe their 401k gets blown out or the pension plan gets blown out or something happens. And no one gives them a good reason why it happened. It just happened, and, they give you a nice little pep rally, a little pat on the head, and say, go out there and work harder for less. And, and then, of course, that leads to the second variable, confidence or trust. As I say in the article, who will trust the conductor who let his train get off the rails? And, it's like when, how they do all those confidence polls, well, Obama's confidence numbers are blah, 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 blah. They do all of that often, whether it's focus groups, polling, all of that, to know whether or not they have the people, whether or not the people who trust them, have confidence in them, or like what they're doing. And when things go awry, all hell can break loose, because if you don't have confidence in government and the government's actions are deemed, illegitimate, the things go to hell in a handbasket quite quickly.
And, Bloomberg actually, he does a weekly Friday address, Mayor Mike Bloomberg up in New York.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
He was talking about today. Somebody asked him about that.
Instability, happens a lot of times. Same thing happened in Afghanistan, with the Russians and then the CIA coming in and training the Mujahideen in the same way that the CIA trained Al-Qaeda from northern Pakistan to fight in Libya. Interesting dichotomy there. They're terrorists until we need them.
Well, they're freedom fighters, and then they're terrorists, and then they're freedom fighters again. So I guess they've come full circle, right? Because Al-Qaeda started off against the Russians as freedom fighters, then they attacked us on 9/11, and now they're our buddies in Libya again. So does that mean we're going to get attacked by them again? Because, if it keeps going on this back and forth type thing, maybe we should ponder that during the break. We'll be right back. Vail, we are back. It is Friday, the 16th of September, 2011. And there's just craziness going on. During the break, Mike and I were discussing all the weird news. And Kristen over at uncoverthenews.com sent me a sad story, I guess you could say. Recently, today, there was a plane crash at one of the plane shows where they do the races, or they put the poles up and the planes, they usually get like old World War II fighter planes, and because that's what they used to race planes like that back in the day. So now, they still do it for air shows and stuff. Well, apparently one of the guys, maybe he was in a Mustang, whatever it was, he crash landed into the stands.
Ooh.
Yeah, apparently took out like the whole front row of the stands. So there's a whole slew of people that are dead in some air show in Reno, Nevada. So.
Oh, man, that's rough, man. Like you just go for some entertainment and, jeez. Or like that, what was that one where the whole, stage collapsed? This what do I call it?
The music event a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And people ask me why I don't go out to things like that. See what happens when you go? Now, honestly, the chances of that happening are, slim to none, but...
No, it's like you go watch some alligator wrestler, dude, and
I've seen the videos where he gets his hand taken off.
Yeah, or like the guy who's visiting some outdoor zoo in Africa somewhere, and throwing food at the animals, and they run off with his arm.
He gets mauled by it,
And they run off with his arm, and his family's freaking out. Yeah, I don't go to stuff like that now. No.
That's how I would describe us if there were interplanetary beings or interdimensional beings from other places, and people say, why haven't they come to Earth and talked to us yet, civilized? Because they probably watch us on TV and they're horrified. It's like watching animals inside of a zoo. Would you go try to get into the monkey cage with the monkeys flinging crap at each other and try to have a civilized conversation with them?
Either we heal as a team, or we're going to crumble. Inch by inch, play by play, till we're finished. We're in hell right now, gentlemen. Believe me. And we can stay here, get the shit kicked out of us, or we can fight our way back into the light. We can climb out of hell. 1 inch at a time. You know, when you get old in life, things get taken from you. I mean, that's part of life. But you only learn that when you start losing stuff. You find out life's this game of inches. So is football. Because in either game, life or football, the margin for error is so small. I mean, 1/2 a step too late or too early, and you don't quite make it. 1/2 second too slow, too fast, you don't quite catch it. The inches we need are everywhere around us. They're in every break of the game, every minute, every second. On this team, we fight for that inch. On this team, we tear ourselves and everyone else around us to pieces for that inch. We claw our fingernails for that inch. Because we know when we add up all those inches, that's going to make the fucking difference between winning and losing. Between living and dying. I'll tell you this, in any fight, it's the guy who's willing to die who's going to win that inch. And I know if I'm going to have any life anymore, it's because I'm still willing to fight and die for that inch. Because that's what living is. There's 6 inches in front of your face. Now, I can't make you do it. You got to look at the guy next to you. Look into his eyes. Now, I think you're going to see a guy who will go that inch with you. You're going to see a guy who will sacrifice himself for this team because he knows when it comes down to it, you're going to do the same for him. That's a team, gentlemen. And either we heal now as a team, or we will die as individuals.
Ideas are bulletproof.
Welcome to the show. It is September 16th, 2011. This is Down the Rabbit Hole. I'm your host, Popeye from FederalJack.com. And today I'm joined by my good friend, Michael Vail. Mike, how the hell?
Hey, how's it going, man? Thank you so very much for having me on, and on a good Friday, man, as I'm enjoying my little vacation from Oracle Broadcasting. It's good to kick back every once in a while, do